The Lift & Co. Cannabis Expo returns to the Metro Toronto Convention Centre, November 18th to the 21st. Discover and learn about all things cannabis. Get your tickets at liftexpo.ca. Must be 19 plus to enter and attend.
And it wasn't until he told us, "Mom, I can't stop. I have to get it out. It hurts unless I get it out. I can't control it." And that was when we started to pay attention. And we spoke with his teachers, and they said that they had noticed it and noticed a couple of eye twitches and just different distractive sort of behaviors. So we took him into our doctor, and they sent him up to Valley Children's, where he ended up being diagnosed with Tourette Syndrome.
Welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast, the show that inspires, promotes, and gives you a daily dose of inspiration from the people who have used cannabis to change their lives in extraordinary ways. Here's your host, Justin Benton.
Welcome to another edition of the Miracle Plant Podcast. We're so happy you decided to join us. And do we have a story you have to hear to believe today? Today we have on Amy Goss, who found us when she was looking for an answer to her prayers for her family. And we are so delighted and happy to have Amy here with us. Amy, welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast. How are you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm excited. I'm excited to share our story and hopefully help someone else that might be looking for an answer to prayer just like we were.
Absolutely. And that's why we started this Miracle Plant Podcast. Was we've had exposure with our brand and with our mission to pay it forward for what this Miracle Plant has done for our family and our son, who was diagnosed on the severe side of the autism spectrum disorder. And we thought that we were going to build a platform to help families that just had autism, or on the spectrum as they're calling it now. And then we came across your story and so many others that we just knew we had to have a platform to share these stories out in their own words. So if you wouldn't mind, tell us from the beginning, how'd you find us? And let's hear a little bit more about your story.
Yeah, so sadly it took us a long time to find you guys because we didn't know. Our son, Liam, when he was in first grade, he just started making these noises, the constant throat clearing and just different kind of squeaks and noises, and almost to the point where he started being a little bit disruptive and doing it at inappropriate times. So we actually got onto him a few times and told him, "Babe, you have to be quiet, you have to stop." And it wasn't until he told us, "Mom, I can't stop. I have to get it out. It hurts unless I get it out. I can't control it." And that was when we started to pay attention. And we spoke with his teachers, and they said that they had noticed it and noticed a couple of eye twitches and just different distractive sort of behaviors. So we took him into our doctor, and they sent him up to Valley Children's, where he ended up being diagnosed with Tourette Syndrome. And that wasn't even something that was on our radar. We didn't know that much about it. But of course, we started to learn about it then. And they let us know that it probably would get worse as he got older. And it did. So it was a rough struggle for him. His tics got so bad that it was really hard for him to focus and concentrate in school. Not only was he distracted and really not learning anything, he was so distracted from trying to hide the tics so that other kids wouldn't notice because he didn't want to be different. So every year, probably from by the time third grade all the way through eighth grade, we would end up having to pull him out of school for a while when the tics and things were at their peak, and we'd have to homeschool, give him a break just to reset, let him be free to tic at home. And people often ask me, what kind of tics did he have? Like I said, it was having to clear his throat all the time. Those were the minor ones. It got so bad, there was a tic he had where he really needed to feel the back of his hand on the back of his forehead. And in essence, he was essentially hitting himself often just because he had to get that tic out, to get that feel from those touching. He had other tics where he needed to feel the way L words made his tongue feel. He had to get these L word tics out. So he would constantly like shout, "I love you guys." His name, Liam, just anything to make that L sound, and he just had to get it out of him. That doesn't work so well when you have to function in school and not draw extra attention from kids and be different and all that. So we would keep him home and just let him get that out. And it's hard going back and remembering all of these things and remembering how much he struggled and just wanted to be just a normal kid and go about and do normal things. He played baseball. He loved playing baseball. And we ended up having to pull him out of that because he would tic so bad. He would end up getting hit with the ball. The ball's coming towards you and you're blinking and you can't stop it, and he would end up getting hit. So we had to take him out of that. Sorry.
It's all good. It's a beautiful journey and story, and so many of us have been there in these situations, and obviously we want nothing but our children to be healthy and happy and live their life to their full potential. And these struggles and things that we've gone through, so many of us, is what helped us search and continue to look for answers. And yeah, please continue if you can. I know it's hard, and it's hard. I get choked up a lot too when I remember those tough days too.
Yeah. And the hard part about it is that this kind of crippling anxiety comes along with Tourette's in a lot of cases. And he's such a good, sweet kid and just always wanted to do the right thing and do what he was supposed to do. But he would have this panic in everyday situations, like in times when he was going to school, just getting out the door and just trying to get his shoes tied in time so that we would get there on time. Those little things, the anxiety of it all would just almost cripple him to the point of not being able to go to school that day. Or he would worry about, what am I going to do when we're in class and I have to tear my papers out and get them turned in? If he didn't tear them out in time, or if he did it too fast and the papers would rip, and then he's got his ripped homework that he worked so hard on. And it was just those very minor things, but the anxiety of dealing with it all was just too much for him. So we ended up putting him on a lot of different medication that was recommended to us by the doctor. And it's like with any neurological issues, they don't know. They're trying, they're learning, there's always research. So it was a case of, try this one and we'll see how it goes. Okay, that didn't work, try this one. And we did that for a lot of years. When he was in junior high, nothing that we had tried had worked. So we finally went to a little bit stronger of a medication, but some of the side effects that came with it, let me just read some of them to you. It's nausea, insomnia, tardive dyskinesia, impulse control problems, suicidal thoughts, a pathological urge to gamble, vomiting, neuroleptic malignant syndrome, seizures, headache, and weight gain. And we were giving this to our child because we were so desperate. We didn't know what else to do to help him, but we were knowingly giving that to him, and he was having a lot of those side effects. And then there was one night in particular that he was really struggling, having a lot of anxiety, having a lot of just trouble dealing with everything that he had to deal with. And he told us that he actually had some suicidal thoughts. And that devastated us. And we said, you know what, that's enough, never again. So we stopped him on that, and we thought.
How old was he then?
He was probably nearing the end of 8th grade at that point. And we just said, whatever will be, like, we can't, this stuff, A, it isn't helping him, and B, it's actually hurting him and making things worse and harder for him. So he went into high school medication free, but still struggling with school and just trying to focus and get work done. And he's a smart kid, but the anxiety that he had and having to deal with these tics all the time, it was extremely distracting, as you can imagine. But his sister was just an academic superstar, and he saw that and he wanted that for himself. So when he started high school, he just set that goal for himself that he was going to get straight A's and he was going to do all this. And he had to work overtime. He had to work extra hard to do that. So his sister had gone to UC Santa Barbara, and we were driving there to visit her. And it was just happened to be a really bad day for him, tic-wise and anxiety. And we thought, we have to do something. And we had tried quite a few different CBD companies before, just really wishing that they helped, but not really, they really didn't help. But when we're out on the road, and that was the only thing we could think of, hey, let's just try again. Let's try another one. So we did a quick internet search, and we found you guys and we're like, hey, let's do it. We're on the 101. It says they're in Ventura. Let's go and try it. And Justin, within 10, 15 minutes of our son taking, I believe it was the chill or the chill X that he got, his tics completely subsided. His mood changed. He was happy. He wasn't experiencing any more anxiety. And we just were like, what is this miracle liquid? What is going on? We couldn't believe how much it helped him that fast.
We love hearing those stories. And then we had the same one with our son. He was tantruming and at a pumpkin patch, and 5 minutes later, he was out and was like, what was that? We had the same experience.
Yeah, it's crazy. And especially, like I said, because we had tried CBD with him, we tried essential oils, we tried everything we could think of for him. And it was just out of desperation that we thought, let's try one more time because it was such a bad day. So the fact that it worked so quickly and made that much of a difference for him, we were amazed. And we've been customers ever since.
This is the sound cannabis companies hear when they try to place an ad on Facebook, Twitter, or Google. The tech overlords' arbitrary discrimination against our industry is unfair, but until they change their restraint of trade policies, we need an alternative way to share our message with our customers. Cannabis podcasts are one of the last advertising platforms not controlled by tech monopolies. And for as low as $9.99 a week, cannabis companies have the freedom to play their uncensored commercials to customers around the world. Don't let tech bosses dictate how you run your business. Go to podconnects.com. That's podconx.com. And for just $9.99 per week, you can go from this to this.
So you were saying that you were going to pack his things for college.
The opportunity, even in this weird year, to still live in the dorms and get a taste of college life. And I was worried about him being able to do that because of the anxiety of it all. But he just said the first thing to pack would be his Chill X and he'd be fine. So that was literally the very first thing we packed for him to take with him. And he's doing great there. He's loving it. I think it's important to mention that because I talked about how much he struggled with academics and just getting his homework done. And by the time he got to high school, I said that he wanted to be like his sister and get the straight A's and all that. And we didn't put that pressure on him because we knew that he was struggling with all of these extra difficulties. But he ended up getting a full ride scholarship based on academics. So he's there, and it's all because he was able to focus and get this done and excel in school. So we're just so proud of him, and just finding you guys, you have no idea that you were part of what we prayed for. We prayed for a miracle, and you guys were a part of that. So we're just so thankful.
Yeah, and we're so happy you found us, and that's why we had to put the platform out there. And the older you get, the more you start to realize that everything happens for a reason. And the fact that you're driving down the 101 and you type in CBD oil because you're having a rough time with your son going up for your daughter to college, and lo and behold, we're right there and you grab it. Nothing happens by accident, I firmly believe. And I remember when we first started to get to really know each other, because part of the crazy thing is, number one, it's nice that we do have retail locations, so we get to interact with a lot of clients. But then a lot of clients will come and have a lot of problems, and then they'll come back, and then we'll get to talk and hear all these crazy stories. But then a lot of people will come, have our products, they'll work amazingly, and then they'll just order online monthly, and then we'll never get to hear these stories unless there's like a credit card billing issue or something, and then they call or whatever, and then we're like, so how's it going? And then they tell us these crazy stories of unbelievable stories, and we're like, oh my God. And that was another reason why we wanted to put this Miracle Plant podcast. I remember when we first really started to get to know each other was when we launched our brand ambassador program, because there are so many incredible stories that we wanted to give people an opportunity to become they already were brand ambassadors, but put a program together and support them and figure out a way for another income stream, especially these days. I remember you telling me, we all went around the room on a Zoom call, And just we're introducing ourselves, and you told your story, and it was the first week that your son had gone off to state, and you were so nervous about it your whole life
Yes.
about it, and that you had just heard from him like that day that, that I'll let you tell the story. What did he say?
Yeah, because we're about an hour from there. So I figured he would go ahead and move into the dorm room because it was part of his scholarship. And then he would be home like the very next day. That was pretty much what I planned on. But he ended up texting me that he loved it. He was having a great time. He had already had this built-in core group of friends there that had moved in with him, and they were having every meal together and just loving it. He was so happy. Now we're lucky if he comes home, we're hoping, maybe he'll have something come up with his car and he needs help, so he'll come home and see us. But yeah, he's doing amazing there, and we just couldn't be more proud.
That's just, it's what it's all about. And we're so happy and that you found what you were looking for, just like we did. And we really do believe that it is a moral obligation for us to pass this secret on. And we don't want it to be a secret, and it doesn't need to be a secret. There's so much power in this plant. And again, the reason what makes, the products that we offer different is that we use cold extraction. And that's a word, but all that means is you put pressure to the plant. Just if you're making lavender oil or olive oil, you put pressure and you don't add heat. You keep the heat below 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And when you do that, just like making freshly squeezed orange juice, you unlock and you preserve all of the enzymes and everything that belongs in that plant with over 512 parts of the plant. And that's why we lucked out. And that's why you lucked out, is that just because we tried other CBD oils too. And again, I don't even like to call them CBD oils because there's 511 other parts of the plant. And the raw version of CBD is called CBDA. But again, that plant, when consumed at the right dosage, and we all have to use a little bit of different dosages that work best for us, it helps our body find homeostasis and balance, just like sleeping, just like drinking lots of water and eating and that runner's high. It helps our bodies heal themselves. And so that's why we hear all of these incredible miracle stories from so many people in so many ways. And we're so happy and thankful that you came on to share your story. I also wanted to touch a little bit on the brand ambassador program that you were one of the original members of, and maybe touch on that a little bit. I'll spoil it for everybody. Amy was our number one top performer in the initial class, and she's been crushing it. I definitely wanted you to give an opportunity to give out your promo code and maybe tell a little bit about your brand ambassador experience, sharing your incredible story on social media and incorporating fun like challenges, because I know you also have a yoga business as well.
Yeah, so that was exciting this year with this weird year that we've all had. And with me facing the empty nest, I was looking for, what do I do now? I've raised my babies, and what do I do? So I had been I love doing yoga, and I also am passionate about my relationship with God. And I had always wished, can these two not go together? And I know there are a lot of people out there doing Christian yoga, and I thought that's something perfect that I can do as well. So I pursued my certification and received that this year. And I started doing just some classes at home. I don't have a studio because 2020. Started doing some classes at home and on Zoom, and got my social media going. And when I saw that you guys were starting the brand ambassador program, just wanting someone to put the word out about how great 101 CBD is, I'm like, yes, please. I didn't think you guys would pick me, honestly, because I don't have this huge following, but definitely passionate about letting people know what this has done for us, and wanting people to be able to share. And because almost everyone needs a miracle, almost everyone can use what this plant has to offer. So I'm really excited that you guys chose me, and just excited to tell people, well, have you tried CBD? And a lot of times people say, yeah, we tried it and it didn't really help. And I say, well, you haven't tried this one. You haven't tried one that's raw and organic, and just give this one a try. And some of my friends that I know have tried it since I've been on the brand ambassador program, I check back in with them, and I'm already hearing great things from them as well. So it's so exciting. I'm thrilled to be a part of it.
We are so happy to have you with us, Amy. We're so happy to have you share your story on the Miracle Plant podcast. Your story is exactly why we started this podcast. Your situation is exactly why we started 101cbd.org as a platform, is that there is amazing, incredible healing power of this miracle plant because it helps our bodies find homeostasis and balance. And just like with yoga and meditation and breathing, all of those things can help our bodies relax and find that centered location, because our bodies know what true north is, or balance, or homeostasis. It's a no-brainer. And are you having some success, or people, because we do yoga on the beach for free Tuesdays and Fridays out here in Ventura, and some of them we use the boost for kind of an energy lift, and some yogas on the beach we use the chill. How have you seen CBD incorporating with your yoga or the people that you're teaching?
Exactly in that same way. I started using the boost before I do my own workout or my own yoga, and I love that. I wake up at 4 a.m. with my husband to kind of help him get off to work. And I hate that. I don't like waking up so early. So the boost really helps get me going when it is time to work out. And I've shared that with others. And the other thing that I've shared is, as a very worrying mom or parent, the chill helps me a lot. I take the chill at night, right before I go to bed. And it helps me not worry about, where are my babies? How are they doing? How's the world treating them? So I use both chill and boost myself.
That's awesome. Yeah, I use boost in the morning, and I use the chill too that I use for pain a little bit if I'm golfing. But yeah, I just don't know what we did the whole plant cannabis. And I'm so glad that I just call it a thing CBD I know doesn't do. Anything else, bug bites, scratches, cuts, rashes, give it a shot. Absolutely. I was even trying veins the other day. I was blown away on that. But yes, again, thank you, Amy, for sharing your story. Thank you for everything that you've gone through, and coming out here and giving the courage and the strength to other parents out there or loved ones that are looking for a miracle, because I'm sure your story is going to really resonate with them. And I look forward to hearing a few years from now this story and how much it's helped so many other people. And if they wanted to reach out to you, Amy, to hear more about yoga or more about your story, what's like a good email address or Instagram for them to find you?
My main platform right now is Instagram, and it's upper room yoga with an underscore between each word. So upper_room_yoga. And that will be a great way to keep track of what I'm about to do. I have a lot of things planned. So thank you. Thank you for having me on today.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you'll see her promo code Amy25 on there as well. So thanks again for coming on. And thanks everybody for joining the Miracle Plant Podcast. Be sure to tune in next week when we talk with our next featured guest, who you're going to have to hear to believe. So thank you everybody for listening to the Miracle Plant Podcast, and we'll catch you next week. Be sure also as well to share and give us a review. It really means a lot to us, and it really helps others find us when there's more reviews and there's more sharing out there. And also remember, if you want to be a guest on the Miracle Plant Podcast and you have an amazing story to share, please reach out to us at info@themiracleplant.org. Feel free to visit the website too for more podcasts and more information about the Miracle Plant, and that is themiracleplant.org. Once again, thanks everybody for joining the Miracle Plant Podcast, and we will hear you, see you, talk to you next week. Take care.